The new Hawker-Siddeley subway cars were broken in on the Young University line. The day after streetcar operation on Bloor ended, I found myself driving a 4-car train on the new east-west subway. I had operated on the Bloor-Danforth subway for some time and did not have occasion to see what was taking place on the surface. Where once all the action was on the south side of Danforth at the Luttrell Loop, it now centered at the subway station. On the way home from Greenwood Yard, I would pass Danforth Car House. Where once it was teeming with activity, it was now a deserted graveyard filled with unwanted PCCs waiting their sale to Alexandria, Egypt and Tampico, Mexico. The streetcars that ran on the Danforth Shuttle were operated from Russell Division via Upper Gerrard and Maine. It was not long before Danforth was converted to a bus garage. A large tract of land on Greenwood south of Danforth became the main shops and storage yard for the subway system. Situated next to the Canadian National Railway's main line, new subway cars were easily offloaded to be readied for service. When the line first opened, there was initially integrated service between the BD and the Young University lines. This meant that Greenwood was home to all 3 series of subway cars. The integrated service provided 3 routes: the through route Woodbine to Keele, Woodbine to Eglinton, and Keele to Eglinton. The Commission tested this system for 6 months. Because of the slow acceleration of the Gloucester cars, they could not meet scheduling requirements, and thus the lines were separated and ran independent of each other. Many new types of subway work cars, such as the wall washing train, were purchased to maintain the subway system.
With the opening of the Bloor-Danforth subway, February 26, 1966, this new 8-mile rapid transit route reduced commuters' travel time to midtown destinations. There were 18 stations on the line, plus the subway access stations at St. George and Yonge that connected to the Young University subway. For a 6-month trial period, as Bill Hood has mentioned, riders had the option of boarding a crosstown train, or a train whose destination was on the Yonge line, usually Eglinton Station. Scheduling problems plus subway car breakdowns disrupted service. If there were problems with one train, service on the entire system would stop. After 6 months, the lines were separated and the Lower Bay transfer station was abandoned. At the western terminus of the line, an elevated station at Keele Street was built. Keele Street was widened between Annette and Bloor to allow the Western Road trolley coach line to be extended from its previous loop at Annette to the new station. 164 H1 class subway cars were ordered from the Hawker-Siddeley's Canadian Car and Foundry plant in Thunder Bay. There was a storage area for trains under the Dundas West station that allowed for quick service in the morning rush. When the subway was extended to Islington, this storage area was used less frequently. integrated trains would come into Keele Station and some would cross over to the opposite platform to allow the departing train to exit to the eastbound track. Planning and construction of the East-West Subway exceeded expectations. When the subway was completed in 1966, from Woodbine to Keele, it was decided to make use of the surplus streetcars, providing a shuttle to the original loops, rather than extend suburban buses. This would enable a smooth transition of personnel to be relocated and trained on new equipment. Track was laid on a vacant lot off Bloor Street and on Indian Grove, providing an off-street loop for the Bloor West Shuttle. At the east end of the station platform was a stairway connecting the platforms above with the streetcars below. Riders from the shuttle cars could ascend to the platform above on a moving stairway, which was, at the time, the only one on the system. Unlike their fellow riders in the east end taking the Woodbine shuttle, Western patrons had a canopy to protect those waiting from inclement weather. Let's shuttle along the stub lines for one last time. After the subway extensions to Islington and Warden stations were opened in 1968, the shuttles were abandoned. Streetcar operation on Bloor-Danforth ceased. It took a number of years to remove the track, but the MU cars would have a short rebirth on the Queen Street line. Subway passengers can catch connecting suburban buses by going up the stairs to the bus bays. Regional bus companies drop their passengers off at the Islington subway station entrance. A number of bus bays are set aside for these carriers for riders to board their buses. Airport connection was once provided by Grey Coach Lines, which no longer exists. The current bus company has Prevost highway coaches, providing the airport connection to the subway. When the Old Mill Station was first opened, one of the main problems experienced was birds flying into the glass windows. To solve the problem, cutouts of falcons were pasted to the glass to scare the birds away. They're still there today. Old Mill Station was situated on the banks of the Humber River. In the early days, Old Mill was the transfer station for the Barry Road bus. Today, except for the night bus, the Prince Edward bus is only one of 4 surface routes that run on Bloor Street, and is the only one that runs for more than 2 city blocks. In West Toronto, the subway is at surface and elevated level as it passes through a number of ravines. At Clendenin, High Park Station is located on a former public swimming pool complex. When the station was first opened, motormen in the westbound trains could see right into the bedrooms of the houses on the south side, making for many complaints. Later, an anti-peeping Tom wall was erected to avoid embarrassment to all. For 2 years after this station opened, the Dundas cars ran north to Runnymede Loop. But when the subway was extended to Islington, trolley buses replaced the streetcars.
This part of the line over the Rosedale Ravine was originally designed as an open bridge, but local residents forced the Commission to enclose it, and thus a more pleasing design was built. Slots in the roof allowed the release of forced air from the trains.
The foresight of a turn-of-a-century visionary saved millions of dollars for the Toronto taxpayer. The decking for a proposed rapid transit line was in place when the viaduct was opened by Prince Edward, and it only took almost 50 years for it to be used.
The first few trains leaving Victoria Park Station along the open right-of-way towards Warden would provide a spectacular light show caused by arcing from the build-up of ice on the third rail. I retired from the TTC in 1977 after 30 years of service. During that time, I operated ex-Toronto Railway cars, large and small widths, air-electric and all-electric PCCs, multiple-unit trains, and finally subway cars on the Bloor-Danforth subway, just prior to the extensions to Kipling and Kennedy. I have many pleasant memories of those years. I recall taking loads of children on chartered cars to places such as High Park or the ferry docks. Occasionally, I took groups from other cities on tours around town on a chartered car. I operated special cars for rail fan clubs over the entire streetcar system, making numerous stops for photographers. During the summer months, American fans would occasionally ride my car, asking questions about the various routes and the best locations for their photographs. It was always a nice change of pace to speak with them and learn things about their systems and their cities. All these experiences were very rewarding, making my days as an operator a pleasure to look back on in retirement.
In retirement, Bill Hood has put his time to good use by authoring a book on the Toronto Civic Railways. Some of the subway equipment outlasted the people running it. The original Montreal-built subway cars were retired in 1999, and a long-standing tradition of the guard blowing the whistle was replaced by door chimes. The only surface transit on Bloor-Danforth today is the night bus out of Danforth Garage, which is closing in 2001. The removal of streetcars from Bloor-Danforth has had a positive result. Street festivals have closed the thoroughfare to traffic, bringing communities closer together in celebration of life in Toronto.